Google Earth lets you explore the world from your screen, but some places are off limits. A blacked out section in Antarctica, an island that disappeared from maps, and a massive pentagram in Kazakhstan. What do they have in common? They were all mysteriously erased. Antarctica is one of the most remote places on Earth, but that hasn't stopped Google Earth users from spotting some strange things on the icy continent. One of the biggest mysteries is a large blacked out region near the South Pole. If you try to zoom in, it's completely censored and no one seems to have a solid explanation for why. But because it's Antarctica and people get pretty creative when it comes to things like this, some believe the area is censored because it could be hiding an entrance to an underground base of some kind, possibly even connected to the rumored Third Reich Antarctic hideouts from World War II. Others think it might be covering up ancient ruins buried beneath the ice, evidence of some long-lost civilization. But the fact is, with so much of the continent unexplored, anything could be hiding under that blacked-out section. If it was just a natural feature, why censor it though? Until someone gets there and proves otherwise, people will just keep speculating about what might be hidden under the ice and why we're not allowed to see it. Imagine an island big enough to be marked on maps for over a century only to be completely erased in modern times. That's what happened with Sandy Island, a landmass that supposedly sat between Australia and New Caledonia. It appeared on maps as early as the 19th century and was even recorded by sailors who claimed to have seen it. But in 2012, when a research team went to find it, they discovered nothing, just open ocean. Google Earth, which had previously shown Sandy Island, suddenly removed it without explanation. The official story is that it was a cartography error, a mistake that somehow persisted for over 100 years, but some people aren't so convinced. Was the island real and deliberately wiped from history? Some believe it may have been used for secret military testing. Others think it was a cover for something even more mysterious. Either way, an entire island disappeared from Google Earth and no one really knows why. If you open Google Earth and zoom in on northern Kazakhstan, you'll find something strange. A massive pentagram carved into the ground. It's found near an abandoned Soviet-era town and measures about 1,200 feet in diameter. For years, conspiracy theorists have debated what it could mean. Some think it's linked to secret occult practices, others believe it might be a remnant of a Cold War military project. Part of what makes this formation so strange isn't just that it's in the shape of, a pentagram, it's that for a time it was mysteriously blurred on Google Earth, as if someone didn't want people looking at it too closely. Officially, the symbol is just the outline of an old park designed in a star shape, but that hasn't stopped people from speculating. The pentagram is often associated with mysterious, secretive societies, and given the Soviet Union's history of secrecy, who's to say there isn't more to the story? Greenland might be known for its glaciers, but it's also home to one of the most mysterious disappearances on Google Earth. A US military base, which had been visible for years, was suddenly blurred out. The base in question is believed to be part of a Cold War era operation, possibly even connected to Project Iceworm, an attempt to build a network of nuclear missile launch sites under the ice. While the official story is that the project was abandoned, some believe secret underground facilities still exist. Why else would the location be censored? Some think the base is still active and being used for classified research, possibly even involving advanced technology or extraterrestrial studies. If that sounds far-fetched, well, consider this. Greenland is a strategic location for military operations, and the US still has a presence there. So it's very possible that whatever's happening at that base, someone doesn't want us seeing it. Deep in the Siberian wilderness, there's a location on Google Earth that's been completely blurred out, a massive blacked out area, and nobody knows exactly what's there. Some researchers believe it could be a secret military city, one of the many closed cities that Russia has kept hidden since the Cold War. These cities were used for nuclear research, weapons testing, and other classified operations, and many of them still exist today. Others think it could be a hidden underground facility, possibly even related to Russia's rumored dead hand system, an automated nuclear radiation program. If that's the case, it makes sense why they wouldn't want anyone getting a good look at it. The Russian government has never officially acknowledged what's there, and Google won't say why it's censored, so whatever's in that blacked out zone, it's something they've really don't want the world to see. Alright, this one's weird because it's not some top secret military base, it's just a giant radio telescope in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia. The Green Bank telescope is the largest fully steerable radio telescope in the world, and it's smack in the middle of the National Radio Quiet Zone, a place where Wi-Fi, cell signals, and even regular radios are heavily restricted. It's supposed to be a peaceful place for astronomers to listen to deep space without interference, but here's the thing. On some versions of Google Earth, the site has been blurred or pixelated, which makes no sense. Why would a telescope need to be censored? Well, officially it's because the site is ultra sensitive to electromagnetic waves, so maybe they don't want any interference from satellites. Makes sense, but some people think there may be something more going on here. The telescope is involved in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, scanning the sky for alien signals. If they actually picked up something classified, you can bet the government wouldn't want people digging around. Others believe there's something underground here, maybe a secret intelligence facility, maybe something even stranger. Either way, the fact that Google Earth messes with the imagery of this place only makes it more suspicious. The Faroe Islands are a bunch of rocky islands in the North Atlantic, known for their dramatic cliffs, Viking history, and, well, not much else, to be honest. But for years, parts of these islands were basically scrubbed from Google Earth. Instead of clear satellite images, certain areas were either pixelated, missing, or stuck with super outdated photos that made it look like Google was actively avoiding showing the place. Now, these islands don't have top secret bases or major military installations, at least none that we know about, so why censor them? Well, some people think it may have to do with the undersea internet cables, massive data highways that connect continents. A lot of these cables run through this region, and messing with them could mean messing with global communications, which intelligence agencies would definitely want to keep under wraps. Others think there might be some Cold War era surveillance sites still in use, hidden away in the mountains. Of course, Google could just say, hey, we don't want to update the images, but that excuse doesn't hold up when way less important places get regular updates. Some locals even started questioning whether something was going on right under their noses. Eventually, some better images made their way onto Google Earth, but for a long time, this place was basically a digital blind spot. And when places randomly disappear like that, people are gonna start asking questions. Mururoa Atoll is just a tiny island in the Pacific, but it has a pretty dark history. From the 60s to the 90s, France used it as a nuclear testing site, setting off over 180 explosives, a lot of them underground. These tests caused massive environmental damage, and some say they left the island at risk of literally collapsing into the ocean. People from nearby islands have reported weird illnesses, birth defects, and skyrocketing cancer rates. And here's where things get even stranger. If you look at the place on Google Earth, parts of it look weirdly distorted, washed out, or just flat out unclear. And why is that? Well, one theory is that there's still a secret military base on the island, and France wants to keep it hidden. Another theory is that they just don't want people seeing the long-term destruction caused by the nuclear tests. And then there's the possibility that the atoll is structurally unstable. Some scientists have even warned that if parts of it collapse, it could trigger a massive tsunami. Now, this isn't just exaggeration. Journalists have been blocked from visiting, and there's barely any recent footage of the place. So are they hiding something underground? Is the island more dangerous than they're admitting? Jeanette Island is a tiny frozen chunk of land in the Arctic Ocean, owned by Russia. It's one of those places that barely anyone's set foot on, and on paper, that's not surprising. It's just a giant rock of ice. Except at one point, Jeanette Island completely vanished from Google Earth. Not blurred, not pixelated, it was just completely gone. If you searched for it, all you'd see was open ocean where the island was supposed to be. Why erase an uninhabited piece of ice? That's a very good question. Some think it's because Russia is using it for something secret. The Arctic is a huge deal for military strategy and natural resources, and Russia has been ramping up its presence there. Could they be testing new weapons, running some kind of classified research? Are there hidden structures beneath the ice? Jeanette Island isn't the only one that's mysteriously disappeared from Google Earth. Other small Arctic islands have briefly gone missing from the maps over the years, only to reappear later with no explanation. Was it a glitch, or was something being hidden for a reason? nobody knows for sure.
Starting off this countdown, we have when duty calls. I mean, when you gotta go, you gotta go. You would just hope that no one was around to catch you. Don't want an old lady walking her dog to run into you, popping a squat behind a bush and letting one go. And you really don't want a Google car to pass by and catch you in the act and then publish it online for everyone to see. Because that's actually what happened to this guy. Poor dude was trying so hard to be discreet and he just couldn't win. What's worse is that his company's vehicle wasn't blurred. So now if his work sees this, it's probably very easy to identify him. In our 9th spot today, we have the pentagram. The sigil of Baphomet is the official insignia of the Church of Satan. So of course many people consider the symbol to be satanic. Well, here we have what appears to be this symbol located on the southern shore of the Upper Tobol Reservoir. This symbol is massive. It's roughly 1,200 feet or 366 meters in diameter. Many people were wondering, what on earth is this for? Some say it's used for devil worship or sacrifices. Thankfully, it's not, but it's still something creepy. It is actually an abandoned Soviet-era camp, and I believe that the lines that we see that appear to be engraved in the earth are actually roads. What a great design, huh? In our 8th spot, we have the aliens. Are aliens real? Do you believe in them? Well, Google Earth seems to have captured this weird being on a balcony in France. See for yourself. Now, what on earth is that? Is it a weird statue put outside to scare away the neighbors or meddling kids? The dude's face looks like it could be the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. Did they decide to take these pictures on Halloween? Like, I have so many questions. Or maybe it's a real alien. At this point, aliens probably do live among us, so we're all aliens. I'm an alien. In our 7th spot, we have the disposed bodies. Now, I don't know what's going on here. Was this an art project gone wrong? Did a clothing store shut down and they had to give away their mannequins? Or is this a scene from Goosebumps? There's something so creepy about these discarded mannequins. Like the fact that they're wrapped up. What if they're the works of a serial killer? I mean, think about it, okay? It's pretty clever to discard of a body that way. You wrap the cut up body parts to make it look like they aren't real body parts. Meanwhile, they are. Hidden in plain sight. Please don't get any ideas. I just have an overactive imagination. In reality, it probably just was an art project, just a very creepy one. The guy in the trunk. Now, I have multiple questions for this, and I really don't know if I want to know the answers to them. First off, why is this guy naked? Second, why is he in the trunk of someone's car? Like, are we witnessing a kidnapping or is he escaping a kidnapping? Next, what's with the dog? It better just be taking a nap, okay? There's just so much going on in this picture. Let's just hope that he was intentionally naked and intentionally wanted to go lie down in his trunk for a bit, okay? Like, this could be used as inspiration for the 4th Hangover movie. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Handy Mandy. This next one is not PG-13, okay? As if that naked man was. But seriously, warning, the next one is for mature audience members only. Because we got 2 individuals getting frisky in some alleyway. The man can clearly be seen with his pants down, and the woman's hand is in that general direction, so you get what's going on. And if you don't, you're too young to be watching this. Looks like Google is out here ruining everyone's fun. How awkward would it be not only to get caught, but having an image taken of you getting caught and uploaded online? In our 4th spot, we have the creepy scarecrows. Located in a field in Finland, we have what they call the silent people, which are 1,000 scarecrows lined up in a field. This was done by the artist Riho Kila. No thank you, I'm sorry, I'd be too scared of them like coming alive at night or something. Also, the name the silent people, it's creepy. But hey, at least those will scare away the crows, you know, and anyone, for a matter of fact. Moving on to number 3, we have the mooning. In April of 2018, an English man named Toby Sullivan was out for a walk with his friend when he spotted the Google car. So he did what any normal person would do. He dropped his drawers and full-on mooned the camera. Now, I don't know what was running through his mind when he did this, but I definitely did not need to see his peach. Also, for the longest time, his buttocks was uncensored and people could literally zoom into his crack. Okay, it's a little TMI. But when the photo and Toby's story went viral, Google decided to finally censor this guy's behind. Thank gosh. But even with the censor, you can still fully see this guy's crack, so. Coming in at number 2, we have mowing the lawn. Here's another young lad that recognized the Google car and thought, now is my time to shine. This guy was out mowing his lawn when he spotted the car and decided to lift up his shirt and flash the camera. Even though his face is pixelated, you can see he's given Google a funny face, a little ah ha, you know? I bet him and his family had a big laugh about that one. But seriously, that meant that every time someone looked up his place to get directions or whatnot, that image popped up. Boy oh boy. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the mannequins. We got more creepy mannequins, folks. This time, we know for sure that they are mannequins and not just wrapped up dead bodies. So you may be wondering, that's an odd way to decorate your lawn. Where is this? A nuclear testing zone? No, this is a neighborhood in Santa Rosa, California. Apparently, a neighbor complained, probably a Karen, that this guy's fence was too high for the city's law. So the neighbors lowered their fence, but then in spite, he decorated his yard so that his neighbors wake up every morning to this lovely view. I mean, there's no rules against having mannequins in your yard, so should've just let him have his high fence. That's what you get. Starting off this countdown, we have Alexei Miller's house. Alexei Miller is the chairman of Russia's largest company and world's biggest natural gas producer. If you try and look up his house on Google Maps, well, good luck. It is completely blurred out. In fact, we don't even have an image of it. And that's due to privacy reasons and safety concerns. I mean, this guy isn't everyone's biggest fan. Being that wealthy and big of a public figure, you don't know who's going to come for you. Now, I mentioned this before, but prisons are blurred out to prevent people or prisoners from breaking in or out of the facility. Google Earth literally shows you the entire layout of the place. So Miller probably has similar reasoning as to why he wants this place blurred. Someone could easily use Google Earth to figure out the best way to break into this dude's house. It would also show if he has cameras around his premise and where. So yeah, it's a little revealing. In our 9th spot today, we have KFC. Now, this one is a little funny. So you know how Google Maps automatically censors out any person's face that they end up capturing? Well, they ended up censoring every single KFC. And that's because of Colonel Sanders' face. Google's system detected it as a real person, well, it is a real person, and it got blurred. So the Colonel's face is censored on all KFC buildings and signs. In our 8th spot, we have the Army Logistics Command Headquarters. Located in Taiwan, the Army Logistics Command Headquarters building is one of various military sites across Taiwan that has been blurred out on Google. And I'm sure you all can understand why. They do so for security reasons. Google often blurs out military bases or buildings if they are considered important to a country's security. Like I said, this is just one of the many military buildings blurred out by the Taiwan government and by Google. But in 2019, an update was done by Google and it resulted in a number of these bases being revealed to the public accidentally. The blurring was accidentally removed and people could see the buildings from all sorts of angles. People saw the military bases layout, building structures, and the locations of missile launchers. Good job, Google. But don't worry, now it's fixed. In our 7th spot, we have Tontaco National Park, Chile. Now, why would a national park be censored on Google? Literally no one knows. So this is a privately owned nature reserve. Now on Google Maps, you could see it from afar, but as soon as you zoom in closer, it doesn't do anything. It just looks like a green blob. So why would they censor this area? Well, some say it's because of the fact that it's home to several endangered animal species, whereas others believe that this place is home to animals that aren't supposed to exist. Imagine unicorns actually do exist and they're just in this area, or like the Bigfoot. Wild. In our 6th spot, we have the single square. In El Hierro, Spain, there is this random square that was censored among the roads and plantations. Now, this site wasn't always censored. It became censored in 2007 when just a blur was added to the square. And many people were wondering why all of a sudden it was censored. Well, some say that's because a helicopter pad was placed there, so it was censored to hide that, whereas others think that there's a missile silo placed there. As of 2013, the censor, I believe, has been removed, and now all there is to see is an arid stretch of land. But what was going on there for 7 years when it was censored? That's my question. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Oorsprong Park. Located in the Netherlands, this is a mysterious building that, you guessed it, is censored. But what's weird is that this is the only property in a row of houses that is censored. Why is that house alone censored and not all of them? In older images from Google Earth, the building appears to be covered with a white box. Nowadays, if you search it, it's just a pixelated green and brown area. Again, no one knows why this area is blurred. When you check Google Street View, you can see that it's a brick building, but on Google Earth, you see nothing. Now, it could just be that the homeowner wants privacy. Who knows? In our fourth spot, we have North Korea. And of course, North Korea is on this list. I mean, hello, the whole country itself is one big secret. It's no shocker that sections of the country are blurred out. Now, the area that is blurred is along the country's western shore, so people have thought that they are hiding something there. Theory 1 is that that's where they do weapon tests, or that's where they have missiles or other weapons stored. Theory 2 is that that's where they are conducting a secret military project. Very vague, we don't know what the project is. Again, it's North Korea, so we really don't know what they're up to or why that particular area is blurred out. In our third spot, we have Marcoule nuclear site. Located in France, this site was first constructed in 1952. Now, we've done a number of these Google Earth videos, so at this point, you should realize that most nuclear facilities are blurred out. Mostly because these nuclear sites were caught doing illegal things with their nuclear waste, like dumping it into the ocean. Now, this one hasn't done that, but in 2011, it was the center of an explosion. One person was killed, 4 were injured, 1 was severely injured. So I mean, I think you can guess as to why an atomic energy site using uranium and plutonium oxides is censored by the French government, especially after that explosion in 2011. In our second spot today, we have Sandy Island, aka the island that exists but it doesn't exist. Now, this one comes with a little backstory. This island was discovered by Captain Cook, yes, Captain Cook, not Hook, during his explorations around Australia in the late 1700s. But now it seemingly disappeared. Back in the 19th century, Sandy Island was noted on a number of maps and nautical charts. It was said to be located in the South Pacific. It was located between Australia and New Caledonia. But it's no longer there. On Google Maps, if you enter the island's coordinates, all you see is a faint outline of what looks like a long, thin island, but there's no landmass in sight. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Mururoa Island. Located in French Polynesia, this island was first used for nuclear testing in 1966 by France. These tests took place until 1996. That's when the French president shut down the facility. Turns out that Greenpeace found these tests were polluting the waters as far as Peru and New Zealand. In fact, many locals in Tahiti have claimed that they have been affected by the radiation from these tests. Nowadays, the island is off limits to visitors and is guarded by French forces, which is probably why half of the island is blurred out on Google Maps. Or it's because they are still doing these nuclear tests.
Starting us off at number 10 is a massive pentagram. In an isolated corner of Kazakhstan lies a dark symbol measuring roughly 1,200 feet that appears to have been literally carved right into the Earth's surface. Although you might not be able to fully see the entire symbol at ground level, from above, the stark pentagram is clear as day. Conspiracy theorists have linked the cliffside pentagram to the Freemasons and Wiccans, believing that it is a site of animal sacrifice and satanic ritual, although this has never actually been totally confirmed. But I will admit, it is a bit mysterious. Apparently, there are almost no other signs of human habitation in the area, plus, you know, a giant pentagram etched into the Earth's surface isn't something you see every day, nor is it usually a great sign. So whether it is a cursed geoglyph from Satan worshippers or not, maybe it's just better to play it safe and steer clear. Coming in at number 9, a hill of crosses. Found on top of a hill in northern Lithuania is a site that, depending on your own personal beliefs, could either be considered a thing of beauty or one of the most strange things in the world. The Hill of Crosses began popping up back in 1831 following the Polish-Russian uprising, and over the years it has grown to host nearly 100,000 crosses, crucifixes, rosaries, and religious carvings. As generations pass and the collection grows, the place has come to signify the peaceful endurance of Lithuanian people despite the threats they face throughout history. Now, that part is lovely, I can't deny. But also, I know I'm not alone in seeing a hill filled with an overflowing amount of religious symbols and feeling a little uneasy. Since, you know, usually that many in one place is to ward off some kind of evil. That being said, maybe it really is nothing but a beautiful display and a symbol of their endurance. But are you willing to go and find out yourself? Coming in at number 8, Nagoro. A teeny little rural village in the Aya Valley region of Japan. What makes this seemingly cute and quaint town a mysterious and creepy attraction is that it is famous for being filled with upwards of 350 life-sized dolls. Now, I don't know about you, but there are few things I find more terrifying than creepy dolls, and it's only made creepier when you find out that the entire village is only made up of about 27 residents. Apparently in the early 2000s, Tsukimi Ayano, who'd moved away from the area when she was young, moved back once her father fell ill, and as a gift for him, she made her first doll in his likeness and placed it in a field. And since that day, she has made more than 400. But she isn't alone in this endeavor. Inspired by the initial doll for her father, many residents in the village followed in her footsteps and began making their own life-size dolls in their likeness or for their loved ones. And soon enough, even the school was joining in on the trend. Sadly, the school closed in 2012 due to the decreasing population. However, the dolls remain scattered across the village, growing in numbers as the years go by. I mean, visit it at your own risk, but don't say I didn't warn you about a village filled with 400 creepy dolls. Coming in at number 7, the Parikala Sculpture Park. Similarly to the Village of Dolls, this garden was created by a self-taught recluse artist named Viho Ronkonen, and this exhibit is definitely one of the more haunting things I have come across. Born in 1944, Ronkonen began working at a nearby paper mill at the age of 16. And as the story goes, he used his first paycheck to buy apple seedlings and a bag of concrete. And so his eerie sculpture garden began. For the next 50 years, he continued to add to his collection. So much so that by the time he passed away in 2010, there were 550 completed concrete sculptures adorning his property. However, these statues are very interesting, often placed in extremely odd positions. For example, one of the most strange parts is the 225 naked yogi section. However, they are not the only ones that give off a creepy vibe. Some of the statues sport human teeth, which makes me feel very worried about where he found those, while others were created with a speaker placed inside them that omits incomprehensible sounds. I mean, top to bottom, it's just all a very strange little place. Coming in at number 6 is Snake Island. Found off the coast of Brazil in the Atlantic Ocean is an island that I am warning you now to never visit. Quite literally, the place of nightmares, this island is home to the critically endangered golden lancehead pit viper, who became trapped on the island thousands of years ago at the end of the last ice age. Apparently, as the ocean levels were rising due to the melting ice, this island became disconnected from the mainland, which in turn forced the snakes to adapt to a new environment, eventually increasing their population to such a high degree that the island was rendered entirely too dangerous for public visitation. Now, I bet you're wondering, there are tons of venomous snakes everywhere. Why is this place so different? Well, for starters, it is pretty small as far as islands go, measuring only about 106 acres, but it's also home to upwards of 4,000 snakes, each weaponized with a venom so deadly that it can actually melt human flesh. In case you're wondering, that is roughly 1 snake per square meter, or 10 feet. So with that many snakes trapped on an island that small, there is pretty much nowhere you can escape from them. Coming in at number 5, Hashima Island. At one point in time, this small island off the coast of Nagasaki was a huge mecca for undersea coal mining. However, due to a number of atrocities committed during World War II, it now lies an abandoned island, void of all inhabitants, but filled with many ghosts from its past. It all started when the island was purchased by the Mitsubishi Group in 1890, and they began extracting coal from the undersea mines. By 1916, business was growing, and so they began building infrastructure to house the miners and their families. And over the next 50 years, the small island city continued to grow. However, it all started to go down south around 1930, when the company began pushing conscripted Korean civilians and Chinese prisoners of war into forced labor under very harsh and dangerous conditions paired with brutal treatment. Due to the labor conditions, an estimated 1,300 of these conscripted workers died on the island, either by underground accidents, malnutrition, or exhaustion. This treatment continued despite the rising death toll until the late 1960s, when the petroleum industry began turning coal essentially obsolete. Finally, by 1974, Mitsubishi closed the mine and the island was cleared indefinitely. Now a literal ghost town filled with decaying buildings to match, it's believed that all the souls who lost their lives remain haunting this city to this day. Coming in at number 4, the former Sansi UFO houses. When construction on these peculiar houses began in 1978, they were marketed to be vacation resorts for US military officers coming from their East Asian postings. But as you might notice, they have an extremely futuristic look to them, hence why they got the nickname UFO houses. However, the bubbly pod-like architecture wasn't the only strange thing about these houses. A mere 2 years after construction began, the project was abandoned and never finished due to several car accidents and a number of construction workers who took their own lives on the job. This of course caused a huge loss on the investment and they were forced to end the project. The plan from there was to tear down all the buildings despite a major public pushback, and eventually in 2010 all the UFO houses were demolished. But of course this still didn't answer the mysterious question on everyone's mind. What was behind all this tragedy, and why were they so hellbent on destroying the buildings? Well, there are a few theories. Some believe that the site was the former burial ground for Dutch soldiers, and that the workers had been cursed during construction, while another theory claims that the tragedies were due to the bisecting of the Chinese dragon sculpture located near the resort gates. And of course, the shape of the buildings drew in conspiracy theorists who claim aliens were the reason for death, and that they could have threatened the company to tear it down. To be honest, no one knows why it all happened, but it's still considered a haunted place, so you better steer clear just to be safe. Coming in at number 3 is Vaz Island. Way back in the 1920s, the Red Army began searching for a discreet place to build a military complex for inventing, producing, and testing biological weapons. They wanted something small and far away from the Soviet borders so as not to draw attention, and eventually by 1948, such a place was found. Almost immediately, a top-secret Soviet lab began testing agents such as smallpox, anthrax, and plague, among others. However, what they didn't see coming was that the island, once split between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, would begin to grow in size once the Aral Sea began drying up in the 1960s. Then fast forward to 1971, and a weaponized smallpox was accidentally released from the lab, infecting 10 people, 3 of whom lost their life. And by the 1990s, the secrecy of the lab got compromised, and all island inhabitants were evacuated, leaving the base completely abandoned by 1991. However, in their haste to leave, many of the containers were not properly destroyed or sealed, and so over time, these containers began to leak, contaminating the grounds for decades. Now, the good news is that by 2002, a lot of the sites were decontaminated, but many areas still remain contaminated, and it's still one of the most feared and deadly places in the world. Coming in at number 2, North Yungas Road. Also hauntingly referred to as Death Road, the Yungas Road is a 60-kilometer long stretch found in Bolivia that I would highly recommend you don't take your chances with. As you can imagine, you don't get the nickname Death Road without having a reputation that precedes you. The original road was built in the 1930s by the forced labor of Paraguayan prisoners, and up until a new route was built back in 2006, it was pretty much the only way to go from region to region. During this time, the route became notorious for its dangerous conditions and rising death toll, on average facing 209 accidents per year, 96 of which resulted in death. However, Some years were worse than others. In July of 1983, a bus fell from the road into the canyon, killing more than 100 passengers. Then later, in the mid-90s, the road was averaging 1 victim per day. Even in 2011, there was a total of 114 accidents and 42 deaths. Nowadays, the death road is restricted to purely cyclists, and cars must now use the new route. However, that doesn't mean it's still not just about the most dangerous road in the entire world. And last up in our number 1 spot, Bikini Atoll. A tiny ring of small coral islands is located in the Republic of the Marshall Islands. Bikini Atoll is a beautiful area with a dark and unfortunate backstory. You see, in the midst of World War II, after the nuclear attacks on Japanese soil took place, the American Army didn't waste much time before planning additional nuclear testing. Then in 1946, after deciding on the small area of Bikini Atoll, the military went ahead and forced the entire population to evacuate to neighboring islands so that they could carry out their nuclear testing. For the next 12 years, between 1946 and 1958, the United States detonated 23 nuclear devices at the site, including 20 hydrogen bombs, one of which was said to have been more than 1,000 times more powerful than the weapon dropped in Nagasaki, while another caused a giant tsunami, sinking several ships. Now, of course, there was not quite the same understanding of the lasting repercussions these tests would have. However, nearly a century later, and the island is still unfit for proper habitation due to the radiation and damage caused by these tests. So tragically, the residents that were promised to be relocated back to their home were never able to return. And if you ever get stranded there, you certainly won't last long.
Starting off this countdown, we have Costa Concordia. On January 13th of 2012, the Italian cruise ship Costa Concordia sadly crashed into underwater rocks. This resulted in the ship capsizing and sinking. Sadly, 32 passengers lost their lives in this tragedy, and Google Earth caught it on camera. It has photos of the ship laying on its side, which is a dark reminder of this tragedy. The captain of the ship ended up being charged with multiple counts of manslaughter. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison, as people argued that he delayed the evacuation of the ship, and then he fled the ship and left the crew and passengers to fend for themselves. In our 9th spot, we have the disappearance. On November 7th of 1997, 40-year-old William Moult was reported missing after going out one night and never returning home. Sadly, the police had no leads as to where William could be or what happened to him. The case went cold for 20 years. That's when Google Earth found William. Basically, a housing development manager was using Google Earth to check out some properties when he saw something strange in a pond near the homes. Turns out this weird thing was William's car. The police ended up dragging the pond and retrieved his car. William's body was found in there as well. The only mystery that remains is how William ended up driving into the pond in the first place. In our 8th spot, we have the secret bunker. Hidden in the New Mexico desert is a secret bunker surrounded by strange symbols. These symbols were thought to be done by the works of aliens. Anyways, the bunker is located close to these symbols, and it's said to be the alien space cathedral of the Church of Scientology. Former Scientologist Ron Hubbard says that the symbols mark a return point for reincarnation. The bunker even has its own private airstrip for the church's leaders. In 2005, it was confirmed that this bunker does indeed exist. This bunker is said to be the place where members can travel to in the future from other places in the universe. Moving on to number 7, we have the Blood Red Lake. Just outside of Sadr City in Iraq, there is a lake that is completely red. Hence why it was given the name Blood Red Lake. The reason as to why it's red remains a mystery, but of course we have some theories. One is that pollution or sewage caused it to turn red. Another is that it's a result of the water treatment process. Whereas others believe that the lake is red from blood running into it from a slaughterhouse. To this day, no one has offered an official explanation as to why this river looks like blood. In our 6th spot today, we have the oil refinery. The Hungarian oil refinery Százhalombatta is so prized private that they wanted Google Earth to block them out. But instead of blurring it or barring it with a black box, they asked Google to have it colored green, and no one knows why. Now it just looks like a weird football field. A lot of people are wondering what they're trying to protect or hide from us. Hopefully they aren't trying to hide some illegal or shady activity that they're into. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the French nuclear facility. La Hague is a nuclear fuel reprocessing facility in France that opened in 1976. It is responsible for treating nuclear fuel from several countries. But here's the thing. Since 1997, Greenpeace has been trying to shut it down. They have been dumping 1 million liters of liquid radioactive waste per day into the ocean. That is extremely toxic for the environment. What's even more messed up is that the site wasn't always blurred out. But when people heard about the whole Greenpeace controversy, they had Google Earth blur out their location. This has led people to believe that they are still dumping this radioactive waste into the ocean. They just don't want people to see what they're doing. In our 4th spot, we have the prisons. Now, there are a number of prisons that are blurred out on Google Earth, including the Beaumet prison in France or the Almira Correctional Facility. Now, there's a number of reasons for this. The main one being so that criminals don't figure out the layout of these prisons. They are afraid that they will use this information to plan an escape. In fact, this actually happened a couple of times. Following a successful jailbreak at the Beaumet prison, France's Prime Minister of Justice was like, it's because they knew the layout of the building. So this resulted in the prison being blurred, along with a number of other prisons. In our 3rd spot, we have the invisible jet. Just last year, a Google Earth user discovered something that's murder he committed in 1998. In 2002, he managed to escape prison. He then went on to live in Spain under a fake alias. Now, let me explain how he got caught. So basically, someone tipped off authorities saying that he was living there and that he owned a restaurant. So they looked it up on Google Earth, and although his face was blurred, they saw him outside his restaurant. They ended up tracking him down, and he was arrested on December 17th of 2021, so fairly recently. Starting off this countdown, we have Snow Saddle. Snow Saddle is a major mountain peak of the Himalayas in Nepal. But if you try to view it from Google Earth, you'll see that the whole area is blacked out, which is obviously suspicious. Why is a mountain peak blurred? What's going on there that has Google blurring it? To this day, no one knows for sure. But of course, there are a number of theories. One theory is that the Nazis had secret expeditions to the Himalayas and found a UFO base in that area. Sounds crazy, right? Well, there have been a number of UFO sightings in that area, so maybe it is a top secret UFO base. Who knows? We don't know. Moving on to number 9, we have Baker Lake. Located in Nunavut, Canada, Google Earth is letting you see none of it. Get it? Like none of it? Sorry, I love my puns. So if you look it up on Google Maps, it's weird because you see just a black strip covering a large area near the lake. What's it blocking? Again, we don't know for sure, but we have some crazy conspiracies. One theory is that the strip is concealing extraterrestrial beacons that help the navigation of the crafts, or that it's a craft landing strip. I don't know. They also say that this area would be perfect for the beacons since snow creates a powerful electromagnetic field that helps send a better signal. What do you think though? Let me know in the comments below. In our 8th spot, we have the Pacific Northwest Blur. Here is a view of the area close to the Washington-Oregon border. And would you look at that? There's a random patch blacked out. To this day, no one knows what that is. But something is there that Google doesn't want us to see. In fact, some people believe that it is a HAARP site, or HAARP. HAARP is said to be a military program that weaponizes weather and causes natural disasters like floods, earthquakes, droughts, you get it. Now, some people have actually traveled to that area to see what's up, but unfortunately haven't been able to find anything. Kinda suspicious. Like, what does Google know Though we don't know. A whole lot, that's what. In our 7th spot, we have 2207 Seymour Avenue. This is the address to a home located in Cleveland, Ohio. A home in which a horrific crime took place. A crime that people don't like to talk about. From 2002 to 2004, Adriel Castro kidnapped 3 young women, Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Georgina De Jesus. He kept them captive in his home until 2013 when Amanda Berry escaped with her daughter and contacted the police. Police came to his house and rescued the other women. This house has since been blurred on Google Maps due to the horrific crimes that took place inside. In fact, it was given the name the House of Horrors. But in 2013, it was actually demolished to help the victims move on from their traumatizing past. In our 6th spot, we have Valencia City. Located in the Philippines, Valencia City is one of the largest and most populated cities in the province of Bukidnon. It's home to over 190,000 people. It's even a popular tourist spot. But if you want to find it on Google Earth, you can't. The whole city is just blurred out. This was apparently done under government orders. Valencia City is home to their government's headquarters. It's said to house a top secret missile defense program. Others say that they do missile testing there, but that hasn't been proven, so we really don't know. It's just weird that the whole city is blurred out, not just a single area. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Amchitka Island. Located in Alaska, sections of this island are blurred out and no one really knows why this is. But it may have to do with the nuclear testing that once took place there. From the 1950s to the 1970s, this island was the site of US underground nuclear testing. Nowadays, they are running tests to see if the island has any radioactive leakage there. If there isn't, then in 2025 it could become a wildlife reserve. But again, why is half of the island blurred out? Maybe that's the section where the nuclear testing took place. But why is it still blurred? A lot of people think that the military is doing some suspicious illegal activities there. We just don't know what. Moving on, at number 4 we have Vokel Air Base. Located in the Netherlands, we have the Vokel Air Base, which is a military air base used by the Royal Netherlands Air Force. According to former Dutch Prime Minister, there are 22 US nuclear bombs being stored in bunkers of this airspace, which is one of the many reasons as to why it appears pixelated on Google Earth. You got thermonuclear bombs, all the way to bombs that are said to be 4 times powerful as the ones used on the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, for the longest time, the place was just rumored to have nukes. It wasn't known for sure. That was until 2013 when the Prime Minister let it slip. He said, and I quote, "I would never have thought those silly things would still be there in 2013. I think they are an absolutely pointless part of a tradition in military thinking." In our 3rd spot, we have the mysterious Russian site. Located in the Siberian tundra close to the city of Egvikinot. I know I said that wrong. I literally looked up the pronunciation, but there is nothing out there, so I apologize. Egvigno. I'm so sorry. Anyways, the area is blurred out on Google Earth and no one knows why. I've been saying that a lot this video, but it's true, no one knows why. But it didn't always appear like this. At one point they had edited the satellite imagery. They cut out a section around Egvinot, that place I don't know how to say, and pasted it over whatever they wanted to blur. They thought it would make it less obvious. But apparently on Russian maps they had the area blurred with a black box. So what's going on in that area? Some say it's HAARP again, others say there's a large gold deposit in that area, so they don't want people finding that out. Others say it's a ballistic missile testing site. Coming in at number 2, we have the murder scene. Google Earth is a snitch, y'all, okay? A couple of years ago, they caught a murder on camera. It shows a dark figure standing by a body laying down on the ground by some abandoned train tracks. That's all we know. Obviously, due to it being disturbing in nature, they don't want people seeing it. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the poor donkey. Now, this has to be one of the funniest, yet saddest things caught on Google Earth/Maps. So you know how they have that van with the camera that drives along and it just snaps photos like every second in every direction? Well, while going along, it captured a donkey at the side of the road. Seconds later, if you click down the road and you turn back, the donkey's still there, just now laying on the floor. It had been hit by the Google Earth truck. It's pretty sad. Rest in peace, donkey. But that doesn't look too good on the company if they're going around and hitting and killing animals. Just saying.
At number 9. Take a look at this strange, formation of smoke that appeared over a small town in Italy. No one knows what exactly this thing was or how it even got there. But I have a few theories. I think either the smoke monster is the smoke monster from, Lost. Or we could have a new SCP to worry about. Maybe this is one big government conspiracy that they're trying to cover up, but the smoke doesn't normally do this. How can all these tiny molecules go in such a strange pattern? Should we all be concerned with this one? The answer is yes. Yes, we should be. Number 7, we have the Village of Dead Dolls. The village of Nagaro in Japan creates life-size dolls that are built as a way to pay respects to someone who has died. They place these creepy dolls all over the town where people might have died. Today, there are hundreds of these scarecrows spread all around the village. And there's just something really creepy about that. These life-size dolls actually outnumber the human residents of the village, 10 to 1. In a way, I think it's a pretty cool art project, and it's a nice way to remember those people who have passed. But another side of me is thinking that this is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen or ever heard of, and I don't actually have a desire to visit this village. A UFO lands itself at number 6 on this list. Even though the Area 51 raid was unsuccessful, we still might have proof that aliens exist. I'm gonna take a look at this picture right here. This was captured on Google Earth camera, and it looks like we have a white pickup truck parked next to an alien UFO. Is this real life right now? This picture looks like it was taken in a remote area in the desert, and maybe the people in the truck were sent over to this crash landing site to do some investigating. No one from Google cared to comment on the picture, and everyone is just playing the dumb card. What are they really hiding? Did a UFO escape from Area 51? Well, we may never know the answer to that. I think it's safe to say that we've all stumbled across this picture, sometime in our lives, right? And honestly, it never gets old. I'm starting to believe that this woman isn't human. No one's legs should be able to do that. All over the internet, she's being called flamingo legs. And she's been freaking people out. Apparently Google needs to reinvest in some of their cameras because this picture is nothing more than a glitch with the camera lens. I mean, don't worry, her legs aren't actually like this, I don't think. But you would think that a multi-billion-dollar company would have cameras that don't have glitches at all. But I guess they're trying to still save money where they can, because they want to stay rich.
In at number 10, we have the Boneyard in Arizona. Tucson, Arizona is the final resting place of many old aeroplanes. At the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base is the world's largest so-called boneyard for retired planes. It houses some 4,000 in this desert location. While not first discovered by Google Earth, the Google satellite images sparked worldwide interest in this eerie yet fascinating location, which has since become a popular tourist attraction. The base hosts all kinds of interesting aviation models in various states of disarray, including the notorious B-52 bomber. I for one really want to go there. This next discovery is a fantastic Google Earth find. In at number 9, we have the Badlands Guardian. Google Earth has revealed many geological anomalies in the past 10 years, and this one in particular is very impressive indeed. Near Medicine Hat in southeastern Canada, Google Earth picked up what looks like a Native American face in profile wearing a First Nations headdress carved into a rock. Ironically, the clear humanoid looks like it's wearing earphones, although what you're seeing is actually a path and oil well. The resemblance is actually quite uncanny. The face seems to have been formed by the erosion of rainwater on layers of rich clay soil. The face has since been dubbed the Badlands Guardian. From a seemingly natural-made phenomenon to a man-made extravaganza, in at number 8 we have the world's largest letters. So what do you do if you're super rich and you want to spend your money on looking super cool? You already have the latest, well, everything. So you kinda need something unique that money can't buy, although actually money can buy you the labor. Hamad bin Hamdan Al Nahyan, sorry if I said that wrong, is an Arab sheikh who didn't stop at buying just his own island. No. He then carved his first name into it so big it could be seen from space. The letters HAMAD are 1,000 meters high and 2 miles long and have been picked up on Google Earth. The letters extend into the ocean and form their own waterway system, which is pretty cool. Speaking of cool stuff found in the water, we have the discovery of an ancient tidal fish trap right here at number 7. Back in 2009, Google Earth produced a satellite image of a strange V-shaped structure in the water off the coast of Poppet Sands in Wales. Since the image was released, it has been discovered that the structure had been submerged unnoticed for 1,000 years or so and was actually a fish trap during the Norman Conquest. The discovery led to an investigation by the Pembrokeshire College, who were able to discern more about the trap. 1,000 years, seriously. Keeping it nautical in at number 6, we have the SS Jassim shipwreck. In 2003, a Bolivian cargo ferry hit shallow water off the coast of Sudan and was partially capsized. The wreckage was previously known of, but it was first made visible to the general public via Google Earth, which plainly shows the ship on its side. This is one of several shipwrecks visible on Google Earth, which is slowly but surely making our waters more accessible and solving several mysteries of our vast ocean. Another personal favourite shipwreck you can now see on Google Earth is the S-World Discoverer, which is off the coast of the Solomon Islands. Coming in at number 4, we have 2 thieves identified by Google Maps, which is a part of Google Earth. A 14-year-old boy from the Netherlands was having no luck in identifying 2 teens who stole his bike, wallet, and phone in broad daylight. That was until 6 months later, when he remembered the day his bike was stolen was also the day that he saw a Google car driving around his neighbourhood. Lo and behold, as he viewed his local area on Google Street View, he found an image of himself riding his bike with 2 people approaching behind him. After the boy contacted the authorities, Google released the original image to the Dutch police, who found the boys. They turned out to be a pair of twins who were no stranger to crime in the area. Case solved. So coming in at number 3 of our top 10 Google Earth discoveries, we have a secret underground layer from the Church of Scientology. Spotted in the New Mexico desert, Google Earth picked up a symbol, 2 overlapping circles, thought to belong to the Church of Technology, a branch of the Church of Scientology. The symbol, visible only from the air, is near the religion's Trementina base, as well as close to a mile-long landing strip. It is thought that the base leads to underground tunnels, eventually leading to a vault containing the works from church founder L. Ron Hubbard. So we are living in the 21st century. In fact, we're almost a quarter of the way through it. So you would have thought, with all the technology available to us, that we will have discovered everything we need to know about our planet. Apparently not. Just over 10 years ago, Google Earth helped biologists discover a new rainforest. Not only that, it is thought to be the largest rainforest in southern Africa. The rainforest on Mount Mebu in Mozambique was discovered by Dr. Julian Bayliss. He was browsing Google Earth to look for medium altitude forests as part of a Royal Botanic Gardens Kew project. As he looked, he discovered what looked like an undocumented area of rainforest, which led to research teams exploring further. They soon discovered the forest in the flesh, so to speak, and it is a whopping 7,800 hectares. It also houses some species previously unknown to scientists. Okay, so up next at number 1, we have one of the most important and life-saving Google Earth discoveries ever made, and that has to be the location of many of the Cambodian minefields. Working alongside charity Halo Trust, Google has been able to map out areas with potential mines in Cambodia. With the help of Google Earth Pro, Halo are able to survey dangerous areas more closely, allowing them a clear and deeper view where mines could be. Then when they investigate the areas, they're able to defuse many of them. The company has said that Google Earth has revolutionized the way we see and browse the world, which I couldn't agree with more. Hooray for Google Earth!
Starting off this countdown, we have the figure in the darkness. One person was scrolling through Google Earth's maps one day when they found this place in Florianopolis in Brazil. Nothing too unusual, right? It's just a picture of an intersection. But when you move forward more into the middle of the intersection, your whole screen will go black, and all you'll be able to see is this eerie looking figure. Now most likely, it's a glitch, hopefully. But ain't that freaky? Like, it literally looks like a full-on demon or ghostly figure just standing there watching you. In our 9th spot, we have the peeing. Now this is definitely something that should have been kept a secret, and something no one wanted or needed to see. Google Earth has managed to catch a number of images of people publicly peeing. The first image is of an older gentleman taking a break from biking in order to relieve himself in some bushes. Hey, I mean, no shame, okay? We've all been there. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Some other gentlemen caught tinkling are these folks. All 3 passengers on a highway had to pull over to take a bathroom break. I guess they were going on a long road trip. And then finally, we have this man. This man was on a highway in the UK and pulled over to also drain his faucet. This photo was snapped in 2008, and hopefully no one was able to identify him. Now, thank gosh these men were not caught, because depending where you are, there are fines for public urination. In our 8th spot, we have the grow op. If you're thinking of having a secret grow op within a cornfield, maybe think again. Google Earth is spying from up above and is the biggest tattletaler. In 2009, Swiss authorities used Google Earth to find an illegal weed farm, and this led to their arrest. As you can see, the growers had their business hidden behind a cornfield. This isn't the only time police have used Google Earth in order to make drug busts though. Authorities in Oregon also used Google Earth to find more possible grow ops. A man named Curtis Croft was arrested after Google Earth revealed he was growing 3 times as many plants as he was allowed to propagate by law for medical purposes. In our 7th spot, we have the deals. An entire deal was caught by Google Maps in Chicago. They tried to be all sly about it, but not when Google Maps is around. Bam! They caught it all on camera from a bunch of different angles as well. They're not the only ones who got caught though. We got this deal on the streets of Philadelphia. You got a lady handing a man some cash, and the man holding her a little baggie of white stuff. Wonder what that could be. And lastly, we have Camden, New Jersey. Now this deal was actually found by a recovered addict. Camden has a very bad problem, and that's where he used to live. So he decided to check out the area in which he used to buy. That's when he found this transaction and actually reported it to the police. The police then tried to use the blurry images of the 2 men to track them down. In our 6th spot, we have the men with the weapons. Somewhere in the suburbs of Oslo, Norway, you'll find 2 men at a gas station in army attire, with one of the men wielding a gun. From afar, it doesn't look like anything is out of place, just looks like a bunch of cars and people filling up for gas. But if you zoom in, you'll see these men, and then people around them staring at them like, what the hell is going on here? It's not clear why the man is carrying a gun. If he was part of the armed forces, you know, it explains the uniform, but to have a gun out in the open like that and to be waving it around, I don't know. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the old lady. The photo of this woman spotted on Google went viral after being posted on Reddit, and that's because of what she appears to be holding in her hands. So this woman was spotted standing on the corner of a street somewhere in Bulgaria. In her right hand, she appears to be holding a small axe. To make matters creepier, it appears as if she's trying to hide the weapon from the Google car passing by. And in some shots, Google actually blurred both her face and her hand and the axe. And we literally don't know why. Maybe she's just an innocent old lady borrowing an axe from her neighbor. Or maybe she's a cold-blooded killer and that's her weapon of choice. Moving on, at number 4, we have the buried bodies. This Google Earth image seems to have captured a scene. You can see 2 open graves with 2 men placed inside of them. They are laying face up with a mound of dirt beside them, showing that they had just been recently buried. Now, when people came across this site, they literally freaked out, thinking that they just saw 2 bodies. Alas, that is not the case. After investigating, it turns out that this is just a symbolic piece of art, and the artist didn't even mean for it to be caught on Google Earth. It just so happened to catch that. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and that's not an actual image of real dead people. In our 3rd spot, we have the pigeon people. Imagine you're out for a stroll one day when you come across a group of human-pigeon hybrids. What would you do? Well, why do I ask this? If you scroll down a street in Musashino, Tokyo, you'll find a group of humans wearing creepy pigeon masks. This particular photo was taken on March 2013 and features 8 people staring directly at Google's cameraman. Now, I have many questions, the first being why, the second being why, and the third being why wasn't I invited? In all seriousness, it probably was done as a joke, but still, it makes for a really creepy and surprising encounter. In our second spot, we have the strange symbols. What you see here is a top secret bunker for the Church of Scientology. They call it their alien space cathedral. Basically, they say that this bunker is the place where members can travel to in the future from other places in the universe. Now, you see those weird symbols on the ground? Those symbols were thought to be done by the works of aliens, and they apparently mark a return point for reincarnation. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Town of Dolls. Now, this one might be the strangest and creepiest one yet. If you're ever in for a good scare, then look up Nagoro. It's a town in Japan that has more dolls living there than humans. Yes, you heard me. So this town has 385 residents. Only 35 of them are living. The rest are human-sized dolls. These dolls are made by a Japanese artist and resident there. She created these dolls to replace the people that once lived there who have either passed away or left this isolated town. Therefore, whenever someone leaves or passes away, this artist will just create a new doll for them. These dolls can be found all throughout town doing an activity or being in a place that best represents the person. It's kind of sweet, but also very creepy.